Hello, listeners. Beaveman here. So, I was told that the way to make your podcast more listenable, is that even a word? More interesting for other folks is to have some sort of advertisement at the very beginning. Well, just so you know, we don't have any advertisers, we don't have any sponsors. So the plan is, from now on, before each segment of Beaveman in the Dock, we're going to do basically a spotlight on local artists, projects, or any events you'd like us to potentially share in the coming episodes. So if you have something that you would like us to share, just email us at beavemanthedoc@gmail.com. That's beavemandthedoc@gmail.com with your submissions. This week's local spotlight is Skylar Beavers. He does the intro and outro music you hear on the podcast on almost every episode. If you like what you hear, you can search Skylar Beavers on Google or wherever you listen to music. That's Skylar Beavers, SKYLARBEAVERS. So now, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Beaveman and the Dock.
Yo, what the fuck is up? I've been gone for a minute, but I never back it up, ayy. They say I've been slacking for a month, but you can shut your mouth, cause I only run it up like, who the fuck are you? I've been living up while I rep the red and blue. I just wanna know what the fuck you wanna do, and you can't come for me, cause I'm just hitting snooze.
Welcome to this episode of Beaveman and the Dock. As always, I'm the Beaveman.
And I'm the Doc.
And he's the Doc. And did I mention that I'm the Beaveman? So, it's good to be back. We haven't been gone that long. Hopefully everybody's been listening. So, Doc, what have you been up to?
Again, study.
Again? So lame.
Yeah,
Study.
I'm a nerd.
Yes, you aspire to be a nerd. You know, on the subject of nerds, so many people want to say they're nerds, but how many people truly are nerds? Which is completely the opposite of when we were growing up, because nobody wanted to be a nerd, and everybody wants to be a nerd.
Everybody wanted to be the jock until they found out how much money the nerds make.
Well, I don't know that we can even say that, you and I, because we don't make that much money.
Well, there's potential.
There's potential for anybody to make money.
Maybe not the ambition, but definitely the potential.
Yeah, well, there's definitely potential. There's just so many things that are stacked against you in this life. People need hope, Doc. They need hope.
Don't look at me. I can't save you.
People need something. I like to say that there's 5 things that we need. Do you want to hear what they are?
Why not?
I'll have to remember what they are.
What?
You need a good diet. You need exercise. You need a healthy sex life. You need a reason to get up in the morning. And you need number 5, which I can't remember what it is. Oh, sleep. You need to have a healthy sleep pattern. Those 5 things will get you through life.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that part yet.
Which part?
I don't know.
The 5 things?
Yeah, the 5 things.
Well, I'm not really pulling the 5 things out of my ass. I thought about that. This is what I used to tell patients all the time, but clearly I haven't told anybody that in a long time. So
I would have figured. I would have figured that beer would have been in one of those 5 things.
Well, that could be your one thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. See, if I was looking back in the old days when I said the 5 things, you've got the healthy diet, you've got exercise, you have a healthy sex life, you have a good sleep health, and you have the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. Well, for me, the sex was the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning, so I could actually combine the 2. But that was a long time ago, and that doesn't happen anymore. So, anyway, that brings me back to hope. People need hope. There's a lot of freaks out there. There's a lot of people out there who just need something. And what is that one thing that they need? What is it, that one thing that everybody needs?
I don't know, but I'd like to meet her too. Hope.
Oh, yeah. People need hope. I don't know. I've run into some hopes over the years, and there's obviously a reason why their parents named her that. They could see into the future, and they're like, God, we hope somebody will marry this chick.
Nah. No, the last there was a girl that I went to school with. Her name was Hope, and she actually had sisters named Faith and Charity. So, and her parents didn't seem that religious, but thinking about the names, Hope, Faith, and Charity, yeah, they went there.
Maybe they thought they were going to be good stripper names. Maybe I thought that's all that they had in their future.
I've never heard a stripper called Faith.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of strippers out there named Faith.
They usually go with like candy names, Cookie, Candy, Bubbles, whatever.
Bubbles, that reminds me of Ronald Reagan's monkey. And cookies and candy, that just makes me hungry. There was a girl named Candy when I went to school, and she was a nice person. She had a decent personality. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But she did have a nice personality, and that's important to have a good personality. But why do people need hope? Is it because life in America is so hard? Is life in America really that hard? Is it? What do people need? Why are they always looking? Why are people always looking to other people for fulfillment instead of looking at themselves?
The problem with America isn't that life is really all that hard compared to other countries, because in other countries they got it a lot worse. But we are led.
And Vietnam? No.
We are led to believe. We are led to believe that things are supposed to be a certain way, and then reality sets in, and we realize, oh, they're not, and so we feel disillusioned and disappointed. And thus, yes, we need hope, but not hope that we're going to be okay. Hope that we can get our attitude set in the right direction and make something productive out of ourselves. If we can do that, then maybe we can make things better for other areas afterwards. But you got to sweep your own doorstep first.
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we're taught things from a very young age. Some of the things that are pounded into our heads over and over again is, America, land of the free. That starts to make you think as a young person that we're the only country on the planet that's free. And that's just not the case.
No,
we're the only ones who are the free.
Land of the free healthcare, land of the free school. Oh, no, we don't have any of that.
Land of opportunity. That's why, all of us have the opportunity to make something of ourselves. Maybe.
Potential. Some, we get into the idea that all men are created equal, how all the old sayings say things like that, but in reality, we're not all equal.
Well, of course not.
People are very different. They have different talents and different ideas, and it doesn't make one any less or more important than the other, but it does make them different, and it's important to recognize that.
Yeah, and then, really everybody wants to feel special, but if you really think about it, how special is anyone really? Down to the very basic level, especially as, when you look at your children, you want the best for your children. Or I would hope people want the best for their children. And you like to tell your children things like they're special and they can do anything. But deep down, how many people really feel that way? Now, I'm not going to say that I know what that's like because my parents never told me that.
Mine did, but, I disagreed with them when I was a kid. And I disagree with them now. There are some things you just can't do. You should recognize your own limits. It's important.
Yeah, it is. You can't sit there and tell everybody that, oh, you could be president someday, or, oh, you could do this someday. I mean, there's, how many people in America? 300 million?
Almost
300 million people in America?
Almost 400 million.
Almost 400 million people. So, and this is not the most intelligent nation on the planet.
Not even close.
This is not the best school system on the planet. So even if you were, I'm kind of getting off subject, but even if you were the valedictorian of your school, it doesn't mean anything really, because that graduating year, how many valedictorians are there? And when you go to college, you're going to be competing with people from other countries who came here who had a better school system than ours, and they could have been in a class of 500 and graduated, 200 and be smarter than our valedictorians. So, when you tell people how special they are, there's got to be a little bit of a caveat there. I've always told my children that it's about competition. Don't think that, because you're the big fish in a little pond, not that my children are, that it's going to make any difference, because it doesn't. It's all about the individual themselves. So you already got some stuff stacked against you just by how many people there are in our country. But there's other people coming here.
Realistically speaking, I think motivation nowadays is just as important, maybe even a little more important than actual intelligence. You don't need to be an incredible brainiac to make a fortune for yourself. You just need to be motivated and dedicated. My grandfather had like a third grade education, and when he got older, he learned some basic math and he invested in the stock market, and he did well for himself. He died a millionaire.
And so
I don't have that kind of motivation.
Yeah.
And
still, he grew up in a different time as well, though. I mean, if you think about population growth exponentially, having a few dollars, having, like you said, some motivation to do something, that's a bigger deal. It's a different time than it is now. You could have all the motivation in the world, not have the resources. Even if you don't have the resources, you got to find people to back you. You got to find your way. But it's just that there's so many people, and there's so many cards, I guess, there's people feel like are stacked against them, and there's so many things that people want, and there's so many things that they need. Some people have everything that they need, but they're missing something, and they just want that one thing to fulfill them. And there's people that have nothing, and they want something to fulfill them. So basically what I'm saying is there's people out there who have a basic need that they can't figure out what it is, and what better way to fulfill that need than with a cult?
all praise to me.
Well, some people look at, some people turn to religion to make that for that fulfillment. Some people turn to even something as a hobby, or they turn everything within to their family. But there's some people out there that are just so lost, and they just want to belong, and they don't want to be lost anymore. Or maybe they don't feel lost, but they feel like they're missing something. So I thought what would be fun to do this week would be to talk about what it takes to be a good cult leader and why that's important.
Is there such a thing as a good cult leader?
Well, if you want to talk about, I'm not talking about good as in a good person. I'm talking about the effectiveness of being a good cult leader.
Seriously, though.
What?
Is it possible to be good and be in a cult?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, yeah, why not? I mean, what's a cult anyway? I mean, realistically, what's a cult?
Just a group of people with common beliefs.
Okay, so you play Dungeons and Dragons every other Saturday, right? So
yeah.
You're in a freaking cult. You have a common interest, you have a common goal, and you've even got a leader. You've got your dungeon master, so technically
I wouldn't say he's a leader.
Oh, what are you going to do? What are you going to challenge him for the leadership position?
Well, we don't play with the same dungeon master or game master, however you want to call it, all the time.
Don't get defensive about your...
For a while...
Don't get all upset about your little cult.
Yeah, well, for a while, I was the leader.
Okay, well...
I didn't like it.
Squeaky leather jacket over there, the Fonz, who refuses to take his freaking leather coat off and gets picked up on the mics.
Yeah, well, it's cold.
Yeah, you're super cool. Okay, well then, if you're going to get all defensive about your little cult, I will say that I'm in a cult, okay? I do... Well, not so much now because I'm going through some stuff, but in general, I'm a member of a cult. I've done jiu-jitsu for going on 7 years now, and I used to do it at least 2 days a week, and it's a very small group of like-minded individuals who are all trying to obtain this skill and are all of this common interest of doing jiu-jitsu, and our sensei, even though he's not the highest member of our cult, he's our local cult leader. So it's like a cult. Basically, we all have this one thing that we're focusing on. It's a common interest. And we have a leader who guides us and directs us.
I think generally
Put
speaking...
your phone next to my mic and make it go all click, click, clickety-click.
Generally speaking, click, click, click. I think cults are religious in nature.
No, it doesn't have to be.
I was going to look that up.
Yeah, go ahead and look it up there, Jackie. But let me tell you something. If it's only religion, why do they call things like, if you're big into the Rocky Horror Picture Show, what kind of movie is that called?
A cult classic?
Cult classic. Does that have anything to do with religion? Yeah, I'm picking your fucking phone up on the microphone. What do you think I was talking about?
Well, I thought I was far enough away.
Well, you're not.
A system of religious...
And why don't you get a fucking, why don't you go get a walkie-talkie and shove it up my freaking microphone's ass? Anyway, please continue with your definition. No, a cult is just a freaking... Go ahead.
A system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object.
Okay, that's one definition, but that's not the do-all, be-all definition. How about great devotion to a person, idea, object, movement, or work?
Misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing.
Uh-huh.
The
So
third definition.
Doesn't have to be religious.
Okay.
Exactly. You stand corrected.
No, I just wanted to make sure.
Yourself.
I wanted to make sure that I had a clue what I was talking about.
Well, let me tell you, you don't have a clue. We don't have a clue.
I do
None of us have a
now.
clue. You know why? Because we're just two idiots talking about shit.
Starting my own cult. Fuck you.
And we are going to start our own cult because don't skip ahead. Don't skip ahead into my program. Don't fucking skip ahead. You freaking stick to the outline that I didn't give you. All right, so now that we've decided what a cult is, okay? We've decided what a cult is. Is there any cults that come to mind you can remember? We've been exposed to kind of a lot of cults growing up, really.
Blue Oyster Cult.
But not that one.
What is it? David Koresh.
Okay. Yeah.
Waco, right?
Right, Waco. Okay, so was there any religion there? Probably. He probably initially baited everybody in with some religious mumbo-jumbo bullshit, and then he ends up banging everybody in the compound, basically.
Yeah.
For some reason, these sickos always seem to make it where, oh, come and do this, and then next thing you know, they've got 20 wives and 50,000 children, and everybody's got a freaking arm growing out of the middle of their forehead.
Yeah, I never had a problem with the idea of multiple wives and things like that.
I'm sure you don't.
But, they have to be willing. They have to be old enough to consent properly.
Yeah, not 12. Not 12 years old or anything like that. Okay, so we got the Waco people. That's common. When you think about it, makes you wonder how charming are these people, these cult leaders? They've got to
massively charismatic.
They have to, right? But it's also the people that they're talking. Obviously, it's like fishing, right? Or whatever from the Bible. You got to cast your net, and you got to cast a large net to get your fish or whatever, right?
Right.
So obviously, if he talks to 50 people, how many of them are really going to be interested in the bullshit he has to say? He's lucky, he was in, America when we had 300 million people. So I guess you could talk to as many people as you want. How many people?
I think that's why people like that tend to target younger people.
Well,
because they're more vulnerable.
People who are most susceptible, and again, people who are looking for something. They're looking for something. They are vulnerable. It's basically, in a way, the people of the, like him, that's, in a way, that's abuse. He's mentally abusing someone. He's truly narcissistic. Clearly that's somebody who's very in love with themselves, and they're trying to get somebody to be in love with them as much as they're in love with themselves.
I don't know if people like that are actually capable of love even for themselves. I would have used the word sociopathic.
Well, I mean, but how if you're a true sociopath, how are you attracting people to you? Sociopaths have a harder time attracting people just by definition of what they are.
playing a part. They see what makes other people tick. They don't necessarily feel the empathy, but they understand.
Well, and why don't they
manipulate?
Feel the
they pull strings. They make things happen.
Right, but why don't they feel empathy? Because they are truly narcissistic, and they feel like they're above everybody else, and everybody has to kowtow to their way of thinking, and everybody has to do everything for them.
In some
they always
cases,
have to be. They're the ones who are going to have to be the center of attention. They're the ones who are going to have all the adoration and all the adulation. They're the ones who are going to have to make a scene whenever they show up, and everybody has to drop what they're doing, to be with this person, or be part of this, to be around this person. Look at what's the other famous one? And there's a ton, but you look at like Charles Manson, right? So the Manson family. Like looking at Charles Manson, obviously that all happened before we were born. If you look at the pictures and everything, and you're like, well, what was so great about Charlie Manson? Obviously it's the same thing. He cast his net to a certain demographic,
And he had a good drug supply.
Yeah, runaway girls, and he's trying to be in the Hollywood scene, and he knows some people, he can play a guitar, he'd been in jail, big deal, he can get drugs or whatever. But it's the same thing, how many people did he really talk to that fell for his bullshit compared to how many people he had actually have to talk to? And it's just like anything else. You're only going to be susceptible to what you're interested in. I'm not going to go buy, I'm not going to go buy a car that I'm not interested in buying, but I have to have that exposure to the ones that I want in order to be interested in it.
Think about the crowd back then, too, where, LSD was a real popular drug. And the whole point, their whole goal in doing it was to open the mind, expand their consciousness, things like that. Those were the ideas that they were pursuing. And so by providing the drugs, he would literally open their minds, and they became rather suggestible.
Right, but that's not what... Obviously, that's not anything that he even gave a shit about.
No.
What he gave a shit about was being famous and banging a bunch of chicks. That's it. He didn't give a shit about opening his mind or expanding other people's minds. He wanted them to worship him. That's what he wanted. He wanted to be that center of attention. And that's what they all do. Look at what's a really good one that Children of God, right? The David Berg people, the ones who all drink the grape drink.
Oh yeah, so they could hitch a ride on the Comet.
No. That's Heaven's Gate.
Oh.
No. David Berg's the one who was in went to South America, like Guyana, had all the people there. They're all the ones that drink the grape flavored drink or whatever, and there's like 900 of them that died. They're the ones that his people shot the congressman that went down there to rescue the families. Doesn't ring a bell. 900 some people dead.
Something about it. Yeah, sounds familiar.
So anyway, so if you look at somebody like that, if you look at the pictures and everything, he was super charismatic. Okay, to me, he looked like Mel Tillis and Roy Orbison fucked and had a baby. That's what he looked like. The dark hair, the dark glasses, whatever. But same thing, okay, this guy, in this instance, you've got somebody who started off as, he was a pastor or a minister or whatever. So he already had a following. And you just kind of tell people what they want to hear. He was big on not saying that there's no race. There's no whites, there's no blacks or whatever. So you're going to attract a lot of people that big way because that's what people want. They don't want to have, there's that division. That's what people need. So again, he's playing into what people need. He already had the religious component of it because there's plenty of people, plenty of old grandmas who, want to give their money to the pastor or the minister or whatever. And then all you do is you cultivate that behavior, you make a lot of money, and then in order to stay away one step ahead of everybody, in his case, he moved them to a totally other fucking country. And then once you do that, what happens then? If you've got, if you came to me and you said, hey, Beaveman, I decided I'm going to join this cult. And I said to you, that's probably a bad idea. And you're like, no, I really believe the shit that they're laying down, man. I'm totally with it. So I'm going to give them all my stuff. And I'm going to go to their compound and I'm going to live there the rest of my life. And I say, yeah, don't do that, man. And you're like, no, I'm going to do it. If you go and do it, you're trying to fulfill your dream or whatever, but now you have nothing, and now you're dependent on this family or this cult. And as the days go by, even if you decided that you made a huge mistake, how likely are you to leave that cult?
Even if you wanted to, you would have a hard time.
Yeah.
Because you're dependent.
Because now you're dependent. And not only are you dependent, you know to go back out into society, a society that said to you, hey, that's probably a bad idea, and you've been doing it for X amount of time, now you have to realize that your dream that you had was wrong. And that would crush somebody. That would really crush you, because now you got to go back out into the real world and be like, yeah, I was wrong and I gave up this much of my, not even monetarily, who gives a shit about that, but you gave up a portion of your life to go do this thing. But that's what they depend on. They were looking for these really susceptible people, and then they hook them in, and then they take away everything that they have.
Normally, I would say, well, at least you learned something. But in this case, it'd be like when you're setting the bar so low, yeah, you learn something, but you learn how dumb it was. That would be devastating to your own self-image.
And how much do we depend on our own egos? In that, whether it's good, bad, or whatever, that's a huge hit to your ego to realize. I mean, think about how big of a hit is it to your ego just to do something stupid like, I've decided that I'm going to wear these tapered jeans, these skinny jeans, and I don't care what anybody says, I look awesome in them, and then you realize you don't, and that's something just super minor. It's not the same thing as throwing your entire life away and giving all of your possessions away when everybody's telling you that's probably a bad idea. You've become dependent, just much like all the people who were dependent on the government for their food every month.
Well, I wore baggy jeans before they were cool. But that was just because I liked the ballroom. I mean, it had nothing to do with the way it looked.
I'm just saying that's a minor decision. That's a minor decision that you thought was, a good idea, and then maybe it wasn't. I'm not saying that.
Well, these are the sorts of things that comfort me throughout the day.
I'm not telling you that you would look bad in skinny jeans should you decide to wear them. That's not the point.
No, but it's true. I would look bad in skinny jeans.
But I did find it was a really pretty good article written by this dude who was in the FBI, or so he says anyway. And he made out a list of things that people who are in cults should really think about and decide if their cult leader meets any of these criteria. And if they do, then they might not be a nice person.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, he says that all cult leaders in general, the bad ones, the bad cult leaders, are very narcissistic. Pathologically narcissistic, he says. They all have had an overabundant belief that they were special, that they and they alone had answers to problems, and that they had to be revered.
Boy, that sounds like about 90% of today's youth.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It sounds like we're going to be flooded with a bunch of cults here from the snowflakes. The snowflake cults.
There we go.
Cult of Snowflake. Has a grandiose idea of who he is or she and what they can achieve. Mm-hmm.
Again, 90%.
Is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, or brilliance. Yeah, you're right. This is pretty generational. Demands blind, unquestioned obedience. That's just being in the military.
Wow. I think most of the kids nowadays provide blind, unquestioned obedience. So finding followers if you're a cult leader shouldn't be difficult.
Well, I guess the problem with that is that they all want it. So you can't have like a million cults of just one follower. So, they don't want to follow each other. So who are they going to follow?
Well, it's like a pyramid scheme. Yeah, I follow him, but you guys follow me.
Right. Has a sense of entitlement, expecting to be treated special at all times. Well, this sounds like a lot of people that I run into
every day.
Or that I used to work for. Is exploitive of others by asking for their money or that of relatives, putting others at financial risk?
I don't know many people. Of course, it could just be me, because when people ask me for money, well, nobody does, because they know I don't have any money.
Like, who asks you for money? I foolishly give people money when they ask for money. That's just stupid. Let's see.
Hey, can I have some money?
No. Has an exaggerated sense of power that allows him to bend rules and break laws. It still sounds like somebody I used to work for. Let's see. Is hypersensitive of how he is seen or perceived by... still sounds like somebody I used to work for. Publicly devalues others as being inferior, incapable, or not worthy. This list goes on and on. Boy, it really does sound like somebody I used to work for. Hey, so I was thinking, though, we could start our own cult.
We got to do it right, though.
Well, I came up with some really pretty good ideas. I want to throw them by you. I was thinking, though, that I would be a horrible cult leader.
I'll do it.
That's what I was going to say. I think it would be better if you did it. One, you kind of got the look. You kind of look like a mix between Jesus and Buddha. So...
trying to say I'm fat.
Or if Jesus really let himself go. Because we all know. Because we all know from growing up Catholic that Jesus had awesome abs.
So I'm like a fat Jesus.
That's what I said. You're like a mix between Jesus and Buddha.
Hey, I'm down to 226 pounds.
That would make you Judah. Yeah. Or Beezus.
I like Judah better.
Okay, whatever. So we've established, though, that you should be the cult leader.
Okay.
Is it because you're particularly charismatic? No, not really. Is it because you're particularly narcissistic? No, not really. I think it's more because you've got kind of a good look to you that makes people feel like comfortable. Like it could go one of two ways. Like, you know, like I said, like the fat Jesus look, or you know, almost or like a Santa Claus, or like, you know, you could be somebody's brother, or you could be their dad, or you could be their son. You know, you've got that kind of look, right?
I am a brother, a dad.
I mean that people will look at you that way and say, yeah, that guy kind of reminds me of my brother or my dad or whatever, you know. So you've got that going on. And that's why that's another reason why I couldn't do it. I just don't look like that. I'm not that. I'm not every man. And plus, you're white. So you've already got that going for you. You know, a good cult leader should be white in this country. Don't shake your head. It's true. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head. It's true. A good cult leader should be white in this country. That's just how it goes.
I don't think it matters.
It matters. Trust me, it matters. I bet so I bet if we pulled up the cults in America.
And besides,
if we pulled up cults that originated in America, I would bet you that 90% of their leaders were white males.
What makes you think I'm white?
'Cause you look white. You're so white, you're almost blue.
You just got dark
white.
hair.
I don't look white. Nobody ever confuses me for being white. Nobody has ever confused me for being white.
Well, I'm offended.
I don't give a shit. I don't care if you're offended. Hey, do you want me to cult leader or not? Shut your fucking mouth, whitey. Just because you're the cult leader doesn't mean that you got all the power.
But it says I'm supposed to.
It doesn't matter. This is not a real cult. In your definition, in my definition, our followers believe it to be a cult, but you and I know that it's a way to make money. So stay with me. That's the point.
Well, as long as I'm getting paid.
Oh, we're going to get paid. We're going to get paid. So you're the, not particularly charismatic, but you're the cult leader. And so... not saying you have to be arrogant, but we're going to surround ourselves with people who are going to promote your arrogance and make you arrogant. And as a matter of fact, we're going to make it so you don't ever even talk.
I do. Well, I don't know. Maybe I do like the plan. Keep going. We'll see.
So I think that a good way to be, one of the things about being a good cult leader is, one, obviously you have to rope in people who are susceptible. Okay? So what we're going to do is, you're the cult leader. I'm going to keep my title, medically speaking, of doctor. Okay? And I'm going to promote you about how you overcame your sickness, and we're going to say your atrial fibrillation. We're going to say you overcame your atrial fibrillation by channeling your own spiritual energy through me to heal your aura, to remove your atrial fibrillation from you. Now, why is this? What's the beauty of this? Let me tell you what the beauty of this is. You recovering from your atrial fibrillation that the medical field caused, by the way. We did that to you. I didn't, not me personally, but the other people did. It's all part of the hook. If I can say that you recovered from this condition that you could have recovered from anyway, it makes it so it's not really refutable. In other words, no one can really say, well, he would have recovered anyway, or that they can't say that I didn't help you recover. Because, as we all know, well, not as we all know, let me lay it out for the audience, you can go in and out of atrial fibrillation without anybody ever giving you any medicine whatsoever. And
It happens almost every day.
yeah, and you can be in atrial fibrillation for years and years and years without ever even knowing it or even having any symptoms. You might have had symptoms, but you just kind of just adapted to them. So our story is going to be that you were a pretty healthy guy. You had a couple spikes in your blood pressure, and some jackwagon decided to put you on some medication for your blood pressure, and you developed atrial fibrillation right after that.
And a murmur.
And a murmur, which was probably from the high blood pressure. Anyway, the point is, now what we've done is we've taken a medical condition that you had that was caused by the great big evil medical machine. So people are already pissed all the time about modern medicine. You know, they're pissed about how much they got to pay for medication. They're pissed that they don't spend any time with their doctor. They're pissed about insurance companies. They're pissed about all these things, right? So what you've done is now we've made an enemy. We've given them an enemy to focus on, which is this giant medical machine.
Common enemy.
Modern medicine. Now they all have this, and so it's gonna be easy to rope people in who've all been bit in some way. You know, you've got let's say out of 100 people, you got 80 who believe in it and 20 who are like, fuck that, they're all a bunch of criminals, whatever. It's the 20 that we're taking. It's the 20 that we can rope in.
Holy shit, Bernie Sanders is a cult leader.
Okay, probably. Yeah. Really want to get down to it. So now we've got a common enemy. We have you, and you were able to, through the power of prayer,
Hallelujah, brother.
through the power of prayer, you were able to call me, who you knew since you were a child, and you were able to speak to me and say to me from the heart that you felt I could heal you, but only by you channeling your own spiritual power into me so that I could heal you through the power of God.
You know what that makes you? A tool.
Big fat phony. Big fat phony. Big fat phony. So now we got the story. Okay. So, you know, spin it any way you like. So that's what happens. You know, I decided, because I'm super religious, that I was going to pray on it. I just going to pray on it. I just like saying that. I was going to pray on it. And then after I prayed on it, I was going to sleep on it. I was going to sleep on it, you know. I was going to sleep on it, then I'm going to pray on it. I'm going to pray on it first, and then I'm going to sleep on it. And then I felt the power of God. I didn't say which one. I felt the power of God come into me. And I knew that I knew that it was the right thing to do. So, you know, you and I met up, and here's the good part of the story. We hadn't seen each other in 30-some years. In 29 years.
Allegedly.
And how did you find me?
Power guy.
Power of God. Power of God. You found me through the power of God. You let your fingers do the walking through the power of God. So that's how you found me. So then, literally, I'm like, okay, tell me what your hokey plan is, because I was still a little skepticism. I had some skepticism. I said, all right, man, you just tell me what you got to do. I don't know what you're talking about with no aura thing. And all you had to do was you just lay your hands. I just wanted to lay your hand right on my head. And it all became clear to me, and I was able to see your aura. I was able to see your aura, and when I saw your aura, I could see that it was not uniform in color. And I was able to remove those parts of your aura that were not uniform with the rest of your aura, and lo and behold, your atrial fibrillation went away, and your aura was of one uniform color. And then after that, I couldn't see it anymore. It was just that quick. It was that quick. So I was astounded because, of course, I was trained in medicine, so I never seen anything like that. So everything that I had learned was just out the window now. What could I believe in anymore after this? And sadly now I couldn't see your aura anymore, because in order for me to do that, you'd have to touch me again. But now you were just able to heal auras. You just were doing it yourself. So I just asked you, and I said unto you, Doc,
get your hands off of me, peasant.
Don't touch me there. Man, I said to you, I was like, man, can you heal my aura? I got lots of issues. I mean, can you just heal my aura? And you sat me down and you did your thing, and you picked all the pieces away from my aura that was all screwed up, and I was all, I no longer have sleep apnea. I don't have sleep apnea anymore, and I no longer have arthritis from all my years of being a paratrooper. So there you go.
And all that manipulation to your aura caused a magnetic imbalance, and now you have cancer. Good luck.
Well, if I had cancer, I would just ask you to get rid of it. Stick with the program. So now, how are we going to recruit these people? How are we going to recruit these people? How are we going to get our story out there?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Hey, we already got a podcast.
No, man, you can't. Don't taint the podcast with our cult. People don't know who we are. We're going to start this cult, and you're trying to taint the podcast. You can't do that, because we're going to double dip. Because we got top podcasts out there. Then we're going to talk shit about the podcast. We're going to talk shit about the cult on our podcast. And then we'll have people who are like supporting us with the podcast and paying us money, and then we'll also be making money on the cult, and nobody will know that they're connected. See, you
okay,
gotta think ahead now.
The first rule is we don't talk about the podcast.
Yes. Yeah, the first rule of podcasting, you don't talk about that. Okay. No, this is why we don't let you speak as the religious cult leader, as the cult leader. You have to shut up. This is why you're already ruining it. And you're going to ruin the podcast, and nobody knows that we're connected to the cult because you're fucking it up. Now be quiet. All right. So, word of mouth. We got Facebook. We got Instagram. We got Twitter. We got all that stuff. All we need is a select group of people that we know, but we never met before, that we're going to heal.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah. So, I never met this person before who's, they got rheumatoid arthritis really bad, according to this x-ray that isn't their x-ray, and you're going to heal their aura, and now they don't have to take this rheumatoid arthritis medicine anymore, and then I'll flip up the real x-ray and say, oh my God, he's totally, look at their bones now. It's all nice and straight and perfect and beautiful, and it's not all bent like bent like a politician. You know what I'm saying? Are you following along? So these people that we've never met before, right? Never met them,
right?
Quote unquote. Never met these people. That's how we're going to do it. And then we're going to do these things. We're going to rent like a little hall or whatever, and we're going to start healing people. Shoot, we can have people come in in casts and cut their casts off and let them walk after you heal their aura. Even though they don't ever, they just have a cast that I put on them.
Or the cast was due to come off anyway.
No, man, no. We want somebody who just broke their leg yesterday. You need to get in the cult mindset. You're not in the cult leader mindset. All right.
Yeah, but it's all about lies, isn't it?
How can I make this cult leader? Okay, if you just do what I tell you to do, then you can have sex with any of the women that you want to. Will that get will you understand what you're supposed to do now? Does that make it better for you?
I'm listening.
Not only are you going to have money, but you're going to get to have sex with lots of women, okay? Does that make it better for you?
Again, I'm listening.
Okay. So now we've got this following. And it doesn't need to be a lot of people. We can get 10 people. We get 10 people right away, right? So now think in the mindset of a cult leader. What is the next logical step? We've got 10 people.
Well, we need 20 people. We need more.
Okay, so we send these 10 people out to tell their stories. Because you're going to heal them, right?
Sure.
You're going to heal them. Because we're going to make them think that they're healed through the power of suggestion. And not only is that going to heal them, but who's going to do their medical exam to prove that they're healed?
You?
Bingo! So now I've got it down. So, even if we can do some hokey shit too. I mean, there's all kinds of hokey things out there now. We could have, you're a computer guy. You could actually set up a computer screen to run some freaking graphs, and we could say, hey, okay, what I want you to do is I'm going to give them two like electrodes. We'll rig up some shit. Like we'll give them two like copper bars we'll stick a wire in the butt of each of the copper bars, and we'll run that to the run it to the computer, and then you have a screen that looks like a seismograph that just isn't on a loop that continuously goes. All right. And then what we'll do is we'll get a little platform. We'll stick it next to it. We'll run a wire from that to the computer also, and then we'll put like a little bottle of water on there with an eyedropper, and then we'll have them hold that, and we'll say, okay, look, it's analyzing your aura. Okay, so in order for us to completely fix your aura, now what we're going to do is we're going to transmit these waveforms into that bottle of water, and what I want you to use that water like 10 drops underneath your tongue, 3 times a day. Okay? And then we'll have another graph after they've done that a couple days that shows them how their aura's progressing and ready to be fixed. So we'll just have stuff, you'll have like 10 programs on a loop that you can show them as they progress. And what we can do is we can have them pay for this each time. So that starts bringing them in. They tell their other friends that are all into that hokey shit. And then I do their exam and say, oh yeah, this is better. You can see that this here is better. Look at your waveform here. And now your aura is completely ready to be healed by Doc. Or what did we say? Judas. Buddha?
Jubas.
Jesus. Jeebus. I don't know. Whatever we are.
Hey, Jeebus.
Jeebus is taken. Your breath has been taken. So that's what we do. So you heal these suggestive people that are looking for something and I'll be selective on who we pick.
Well, if something goes wrong, then we can blame it on their environment.
Well, if something goes wrong, we can blame it on that, but we can also blame it on their faith. They didn't believe hard enough. They didn't believe hard enough that you could heal them. Not only did they not have enough faith in you, but they didn't have enough faith in God. See? So now they start to question themselves, and now they've got to be more resolute in their faith. See? What else can they do? They're going to come to you and say, I wasn't completely healed. What do I need to do? Tell me, what can I do? What can I do for you to fix me, for me to be fixed? How much money do you have? Or how can you sell your house? Can you sell your boat? You're not going to out and out ask for it. But, you're living in poverty. You're living in squalor. So we tell them, you have to be able to feed yourself. We have to be able to pay for some of this fancy equipment.
You need to change your environment so you can become more focused.
Yeah, we probably need. We probably need some land. We probably need a building to put our followers in. We can't pay for that ourselves.
A series of pole barns.
Yeah, right. some small dwarf goats for the yoga.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we're gonna greet them in there. Now I know probably what you're thinking is, what do we do about the people who start snooping around? If you're not thinking about that, then there's something completely wrong with you, because there will be people that are snooping around.
We recruit them.
How are you going to do that?
Money. Because we have lots of money now.
Okay. We recruit them, or we buy them off to keep them off.
Yeah, buy off. Sure. That's another word for it.
And as we do so, we get them to look the other way, talk about law enforcement, whatever, local politicians, whatever, just to keep them off of our back. Really, because we're not doing anything illegal. You know, people are giving us these things out of their own free will. The problem that you're going to run into, obviously, is family members of our cult followers.
Hey, why didn't I get that?
Well, why the fuck are you... Yeah, why are you giving them my stuff?
Yeah.
Why are you giving them our stuff? What are you doing? You know, well, you're giving away my inheritance. You're giving away our home. You're running off over here. What are you doing? In those instances, what we have to do then is we must turn our cult members against their own families. Now we bring in the power of Satan. So now, you know, Betty, I want you to be better. We all want you to be better. But you can't get better because clearly Satan has come into the life of your son, and he's trying to pull you away from us. He's trying to pull you back down to where Satan is. And he's trying to make you unhealthy again. And we are trying so hard with our love and our faith to make you better. And what's Betty going to say? Betty's going to say, you're right. Satan has gone into my child. Satan's gone into my child. My child's got Satan in him. What am I going to do? What are you going to do? And now, you're not going to say any of this. You're just going to sit there and you're going to nod. And I'm just going to talk.
Kind of like I'm doing now.
And I'm just going to talk through you to Betty so that she understands. Because what we got to do is we got to turn Betty against her family. If Betty's family doesn't want to be part of the cult, she has to separate herself from her family.
Now, see, I don't see that working, because sooner or later you're going to run into somebody with a family member like me. If my mom got mixed up in some kind of cult, for example, I would burn that place to the ground.
Oh. But what you're forgetting is, by now the cult's a little bit bigger. We got money coming in. How close do you think you're going to get to my barn?
Plenty.
Oh, I don't think so. Because what do really good cult leaders have?
Guns.
They've got armed guards. They've got security systems. You ain't getting near my barn, buddy. Oh, no. And I own the local cops. So, how close are you going to get to my barn?
Well, the thing is
you start causing any problems?
You wouldn't see it coming. By the time you did, it'd be too late.
Well, since the audience can't see you and they can only go by the representation of the cartoon, I'm going to say you're not getting close to my barn. You cannot hide. Unless I've got like large oak trees everywhere on my property, you're not hiding real well. Good cults are going to have some armed security, and they're going to have cameras, motion sensors, all those good things. So, and if you cause enough problems, I'm probably just going to make you disappear.
Well, let me see.
You're going to, for some reason...
All that computer equipment creates vulnerabilities.
Gee, Betty, why did your son kill himself? Was it because Satan got to him? See, you're thinking, I'm going to have... You're thinking like a Navy guy. That's a problem. Thinking like a Navy guy. You're not thinking evil. You're just not thinking evil enough. See,
you don't need to be evil. You need to be efficient.
Well, that is efficient. How easy would it be to make you disappear? If I've got the money...
If you didn't know that what I was planning, you wouldn't be making plans to make me disappear.
Oh, well, you don't think that we're going to have everything on a computer system? That can be tracked back to us.
You think I can't hack into somebody's computer system?
No, that's what I'm saying. Why would we have a computer system? Why would we leave a trail? No, you're thinking about technology. Technology is not what we want. If we want Betty's money, we don't want Betty's money in a bank account. We want Betty's money. We want Betty to go liquidate all of her assets and give us the cash. That's what we want. We're not going to have everything in a computer system based on numbers. That can be tracked back to us. But what can't be tracked back to us? Her just giving us her money as a gift. Heck, and if we're really good, we can write everything. We can be a tax-free entity.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, no. And besides, I will have already covered that base because you're supposed to be the IT person.
True. But as good as anybody thinks there is, there's always somebody better.
Well, true, but...
With enough motivation, again, wild things can be achieved even by people who aren't exactly the most intelligent.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of that is when you've got a group of people who are so dead set against doing something completely wrong, and you've got one person who's trying to fight them, generally that one person doesn't get very far. That's the unfortunate truth. Unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. He did pretty good by himself. But that doesn't generally happen.
Yeah, but everybody in his movies are terrible shot.
Well, yeah. And for some reason, he shoots once and 5 people fall down. Anyway, the point being, it's going to start getting too hot for us.
Okay.
Stateside. We're going to have to move.
Someplace warm. Warmer.
Oh, yeah. We got to definitely go, south of the equator. I'm not staying in this.
Some island somewhere.
I'm not staying in this shithole. Well, we got to definitely do it where we can buy off the local government and have our own shit and not be bothered. And definitely not anything where we're going to be bothered by, U.S. involvement. So we're going to have to pick up and leave. But by now, we've got enough money. Now, we're going to leave. We're going to take the cult with us. Okay? But we're not going to stay with the cult. So, for example, maybe we're going to be on this island nation, but the cult might be in the jungle somewhere on a different continent.
Have you seen Tyler Durden?
And the reason why we're going to do this is why. I've already set you up because I don't want them talking to you. I don't want them to know that you actually speak other than through other people. So we're going to have our own little lieutenants and stuff too, that stuff's going to filter down. Now we're really warping these people. Now, if they get to see you, it's a big deal. Like if they catch a glimpse of you, it's a big deal. But we're going to start communicating remotely. Now we're going to communicate through, webcams, or you'll send a message. Maybe you want to be really crazy, like that one dude. I don't remember was it which cult was it? I don't know. One of the cults, he would draw. He would write little magazines, like little cartoon pamphlets, and he would send it off to them, and that was how he communicated. Or he would make these really cheesy videotapes and send it off to them. But that's the point is...
I think Bin Laden did that.
The point is, we don't want them to have any access to you whatsoever. And from now on, all communication is going to be through all these other people. That way, what we've done is now we've actually put you up there to God status. So now, instead of you being God's chosen person on the planet... You've actually become God himself. Huh? What do you think?
I think it's a stretch.
Well, if you don't try, it's like anything else. If you're not going to try, how are you expected to go anywhere?
I know that there are people that dumb. It's really hard for me to accept it.
Not that they're that dumb. It's that they want something. Everybody has a need that they need fulfilled. Now, of course, we're just kidding. Well, obviously, we're not going to start a cult. But I was just doing this for fun not for one reason, but it's just fun in general. I feel really when I was doing this research, I felt really bad, obviously, seeing these people whose lives were affected by these cults. And because it's like I said, if you were in this cult for years and years and years, and at one point you realized that you had thrown your life away, you'd lost everything, and you felt like you lost your family over it, how humiliating, how much of a hit is that to your life to try to get on with your life away from the cult? Especially if you had every good intention going into it, and then you find out it never was what you thought it was. How devastating would that be? Well, you know what? Obviously we can't speak for other people, but if that happened, as a family member, I mean, God forbid that ever happened in my family, but if it did, I'd want those people back.
Well, yeah.
Who cares about what happened? You're with us now, that sort of thing. But that's fear that people have. That's a real fear that they have, and why they don't leave. It never was what they thought it was. It was all just a freaking lie, or whatever. Maybe it started off good and it became this horrible entity because power corrupts. The cult leader decided they were a certain way, and you see all these goofy things out there, and I was making fun about. I'm like, oh, it sounds like somebody I used to work for. But by God, that really is kind of like that. It really is, because if you're so full of yourself that you have to make claims that nobody can refute, just bullshit claims about, oh, I have this medical condition because modern medicine caused it. It was bullshit. For one thing, you can't prove that. On the other hand, no one can disprove it. So you can make this ridiculous claim.
I got a better idea for a cult. A new political party. Making bullshit claims that nobody can dispute. Everything is opinionated. Everybody involved in that particular party has this admiration for the guy at the top. He claims that he's going to make them all better, when really he's doing nothing but getting rich. That's the ultimate cult right there, politics.
Yeah, the only problem with the politics cult, and I can see where you're going with that, is that the problem with politics in general is they all want to be the cult leader. Why do you think they all run for office in the first place?
String them along.
They all just want to get ahead of the other person. You can't string people in politics. Just like, that's like saying that's like saying the vice president doesn't want to be the president. They all want to be.
They start stringing them along since they're babies. You can do anything. You could grow up to be president. You could be master of your own universe,
Yes men in politics are only yes men to your face, but they want your job.
Right.
Yeah, so how can you make it a cult where one person's in charge when they all want to be in charge? That's what politics is. All of them all want to be in charge. By
giving them the illusion that they're making progress towards their goals, when actually they're making progress towards yours.
Well,
that's the way politics works.
I gotta say my cult's better. But anyway,
mine's gonna make more money.
As I was saying about looking at the foolishness that's out there. What are people doing? What is a common thing that people are doing now when you're talking about this new age medicine? Again, what I talked about, when somebody makes a foolish claim that nobody can refute, you can't refute it because it's so fucking ridiculous. And not only can you not refute it, but he's not making the claims to medical people. He's making the claims to a group of people who all want to hear it, who all want something new that will fix them. Okay, well, you can make these bullshit claims all you want. You can give all this hokey bullshit that doesn't work, and you can do all these other things. If you just have enough people who can say, oh, this got better because of this. Well, you know what? Most of that stuff was going to get better anyway.
Mm-hmm.
When you make all these hokey claims about how you fixed all these people, and you're so egotistical that you have to gratify yourself by videotaping people saying about how you made them better. Well, they were going to get better anyway. If I took 100 people who had problems with their digestive system and had allergies and had asthma and had, autoimmune inflammatory problems and osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis and all these and diabetes. And I changed their diet and actually made them eat non-inflammatory type foods and made them drink water instead of popping coffee and made sure they got plenty of sleep and actually took a multivitamin. Guess what? They'd get better. It doesn't have anything to do with that I'm a fucking genius. It's food and drink is our best medicine. Rest is our best medicine. People are going to get better anyway. The human body is a good design. It's just like when people torque their knee, and the surgeon says, hey, yeah, you've got a minor tear of your meniscus. I can go in there and I can fix that. I'm like, what do you think people did before surgeons when they tore their meniscus in their knee?
Walked with a limp.
And not forever. It folds, it heals. We heal. You're not going to be 100% perfect. What makes you think that it's a good idea if I've got a hole in my wall? Does it make sense for me to go remove more of that hole to fix the structure of the wall? All I did was deteriorate the structure of the wall. It's the same thing. What makes you think it makes sense to go in there and cut stuff out and remove stuff when the body's already going to form scar tissue over the top of it?
So you're saying if I tore my ACL, that I wouldn't need surgery?
I didn't say if you tore your ACL. I said your meniscus.
I'm talking about my ACL.
If you tore your ACL, what do you think happens to the ends? You think they don't join back up again?
Well,
first of all, you'd have to have a complete tear.
If you could hold
and
it
how many
still.
times do you think people just completely tear their ACL?
Well, it's probably pretty rare.
Okay, so maybe you tear the fibers. Okay, but guess what? The ends of that tissue, we regenerate the ends of that tissue. It may be more lax. You may have more of a laxity in your knee. But what makes people think that you have to fix stuff? Do you know how many people walk around with? They've walked around with torn ACLs. They didn't even know they had torn ACLs. People walk around with all kinds of stuff. That's why when I was talking about the AFib, I found lots of people that were in AFib, and they've probably been in AFib for years. They just never noticed. Just because they lucked out and didn't ever throw a blood clot or anything. There's all kinds of conditions out there. We have all these things all the time. We call incidental findings on CT and MRI and all these things that people have walked around with. I would joke with my patients and say, when they want to get an X-ray of their back hurts. I'm like, okay, we can get an X-ray of your back. By the time you're 35, 40 years old, it's probably going to show that you might have maybe a little bit of arthritis of your back. But it's going to show that for probably 100 people out of 100 people by that age. And now I gave you a diagnosis of, minor osteoarthritis in your back that now you've decided that your back hurts all the time. It's like the prostate gland. They've done lots of autopsies on 80, 90-year-old men that passed away with prostates the size of, gigantic. Never bothered them. They never had to have anything done for it. They didn't have to have a medication to, quote, open their prostate up so that they could pee better. These are all things that we've lived with. We've become dependent on so many things, just like medicine. We've become dependent on medicine telling us that we need them. Oh, you need us. Really? What do I need you for? What I need you for is not to fix me when I get sick. What I need you for is to say, hey, stop putting that in your mouth. Stop eating that bullshit. Stop drinking that fucking Mountain Dew. Every time I see you, you got a fucking Mountain Dew. Stop drinking Mountain Dew, you fuckhead. That's what we need medicine for. And then when we do have these problems, then we need honesty. Shit, freaking bone spurs. Everybody wants a fucking bone spur removed from their foot. Oh, my foot hurts because I have a fucking bone spur. Okay, remove that bone spur. Go ask a podiatrist to tell you honestly, that bone spur will come back. They're not fixing anything, taking the bone spur out. That bone spur's there for a reason. Why do you think it's there?
Kidney stones.
No, that's different. But why do you think the bone spur is there? Your body threw calcium on that spot because you probably injured it once, and it's protecting you. It's our arrogance that says, oh, that doesn't belong there. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to remove the structural piece that your body put there.
Teachers describe it as overgrowth.
Your teachers are fucking wrong. And don't forget one fucking fact. Your teacher's just a fucking teacher. Practical application is what I do. And I pin people down who do those procedures. Just like I said, ask any podiatrist. Where do you think I learned that from? A podiatrist. Because I specifically asked them, like, why would you remove a structure from the body that the body put there? It comes back anyway. It almost always comes back. Why does it come back? Because your body threw it there for a reason. Now I'm taking out a structure. Just an example. Is it all like that? No. Kidney stones are your fucking fault, jackass. From drinking fucking Mountain Dew. Again, what you put in your mouth. Why do we get kidney stones? Well, the majority of the time, they're calcium oxalate crystals. And it ain't from drinking milk. It's from drinking that bullshit right there, not drinking enough water. You're not perfusing your kidneys. It's the accumulation of crystals in the nephron that's causing you to get those kidney stones.
Right.
Some people have it genetically. I've met one patient that truly had it genetically. Didn't matter what you did, that kid made kidney stones. But that ain't everybody. Or they're made from uric acid crystals. Same people that get gout. Why do they get gout? It's not that they have too much uric acid, it's that they're not getting rid of it. From the shit they put in their fucking mouths. Anyway, that's my point. So, you can't sit there, and what I'm saying is that so many people want something. That's what you have to find. You have to find the susceptible people that want something. They want an answer. And they want an answer that you can give them in a timely manner, and they want you to say what they want to hear. But you can make these claims that, like I said, you're just making a claim that no one can say that that person wouldn't have got better anyway.
So if you wanted to start a cult and be a good cult, you could give all the right advice and then, tell them that it's God's will, but you're actually giving them advice that's truly helping them.
Yeah, but what would be the fun in that?
Hey, we're good guys, right? I mean...
Yeah, but if I did that, I would be more likely... I think that, honestly, if you did that, it would be more likely that I would be assassinated than if I was lying.
That's you.
Because then I'm doing something that is truly good.
I'm the guy with all the security
I'm doing
that
something
the cult is trying to protect,
I would
remember?
be doing something that's truly helping people. Think about that. Because that's not what people want. People don't want that. There's no fun in that. People want the crackpot cults. It's part of our culture. We like it. Just like we like murder mysteries. Or we like unsolved crimes. We like to see the evil in people. Because it reminds us that it's not all like that.
I think a more accurate depiction there would be that we like to see the evil defeated because it makes us feel safe.
Well, I don't think when people, 900 some people drink a, grape colored drink with, cyanide or whatever in it, that we saw evil defeated. We just saw a bunch of...
Well, kinda. I mean, as long as the guy that started it went with them.
Yeah, but he forced the majority of them to drink it.
Well,
so that's mass murder.
That is unfortunate.
Mass murder and mass suicide. And he didn't even go out that way. He had somebody shoot him in the head.
But he's not going to do it again. That's the idea.
I suppose. So if you wanted a warped, uneducated opinion on cult, please see Doc, paging Doc for an uneducated opinion on cults. So anyway, that was my fun take on cults. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And if you didn't, well, fuck you! No, just kidding.
Or maybe not.
Or that. So that was my take on the cults. It was really fun researching it. As always, I enjoyed my podcast time with the doc, and that wraps it up for me this week. And so I'm going to let Doc say goodbye because I'm still waiting on his catchphrase.
Yeah, and you know what? I still don't have one.
Please go ahead with your catchphrase. We're waiting.
Goodbye.
That was awesome. All right, so until next time, keep your feet and knees together, look towards the horizon.
Wait. Feet and knees together?
Yeah, keep your feet and knees together, look towards the horizon. You would know what I'm talking about, but you
Oh, it's a paratrooper thing.
It's a paratrooper thing.
Okay.
All right, and as always, adios, smooch fuckos.
Later.